such a unit of a man. If anybody tells you anything different, they're wrong. Just straight up wrong. 14 feet tall. Are you kidding me? That's taller than... He's taller than a lot of things. But have you ever just sat there and thought, you know what? I wonder how much Grus' house is worth. No? Okay. Well, I did. And you clicked on this video, so I'm going to tell you. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do is figure out the square footage of Grus' house. So what we can do is we can take Grus' height and measure it from the door, so we know that the door is 15 feet, which is not a standard door, which means Grus has a big house. What we can do is we can take the door and then figure out how big the house is from the door using it to scale across the house and then across the side of the house. With the doors laid across, what you have is 60 feet and 9 inches. Alright, so since we can't see the side of Grus' house, the door, I put it into Photoshop and then I measured it to scale and warped it so it fit the side of his neighbor's house, because the neighbor's house is basically the same model, just a lot smaller. And so I took the neighbor's house and then added that to scale of Grus' house. Grus' house is 1.5 times bigger than their houses. So that brings the total square footage of Grus' house to 2,049 feet. This Pinocchio of a giant has a pretty small house when it comes to just one of his floors. And you know, Grus is a pretty spicy man, so you can just guess that this is a luxury house, even just from not looking inside. Plus, his neighbors' houses are 4 stories tall. So per square foot of a house in a high-end neighborhood is $350. If you add that all together, that comes up to $715,460 just for one floor. Now stacking the door, whoa, that was a weird sound, what the crap? Now stacking the doors up onto each other pixel by pixel, you can figure out that his house is about, sorry, I forgot the number, 9 stories tall. Grus is one of the biggest boys I've ever seen. Now if you take into account the other 8 stories of freaking Grus' house, this freaking stud, it comes out to $6.4 million on top of the bottom floor. That's a ton of money. Grus is kind of Jeff Bezos. He's up there. And he also has a little attachment on the back that is 1/9 of his actual house. The whole entirety of his house. So that adds up to $7.1 million. The big nuggets. Dollars. For a dude that's nose looks like a chopstick, he has a lot of money so far. Now to deal with Grus' secret lair. So after dealing with going frame by frame of the scene where Grus drops from the ceiling and he's like, "Whoo, minions!" After trying to do that, I realized that there's a scene in the movie where the jaundiced looking minion, he drinks this potion, makes him float up, and then he floats out the ceiling. And I just broke that scene apart. And you may be saying, Pierston, how do you know that this isn't the top of Grus' house? And the thing is I don't know. I'm guessing that the hatch that opens up for the minion is in his front lawn. Yeah, we're going off that assumption. Now, judging from Grus' height, standing at the platform thingy sucker, the vacuum, it sucks. How would you like having a giant vacuum in your house? Or you have reverse vents that just suction all the crap in your house in. But yeah, judging from his height, we can tell that the pad is about 1 foot from his ankle thingies. Also in this part in the movie where the minion floats up, due to the laws of Newton, when the minion floated up, he floated up slowly at first, and then I had to figure out from the point where he constantly starts going up, which is 3 frames by the way. I had to figure all of this out from the 3 frames that they gave me. And I figured that out from the minion's height, which is 3'7", and I divided it into fourths and then put it frame by frame, measuring the distance of how far he floated. And showing from the frames, we can also tell that the minion floated up from when he wasn't on screen to the part where he was on screen, and telling from the minion's height that was I forgot it, crap. 1 foot 10 inches. Now we get to my favorite part, which is the 3 frames that they gave us to figure out how freaking tall and this whole entire layer is. This yellow freaking cheese puff of a minion floating up. Man, thanks Universal Pictures for making this a little bit more difficult than it has to be. It was a little bit more difficult. Feel bad for me. This was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Ever. When my pet died, that wasn't hard. I hated that thing. Grus, figuring out how tall his lair is, I put blood, sweat, tears and pee into that. Nobody ever puts pee in anything unless it's as hard as anything that they've ever done. Tell me you've never put pee in something. It's because you've never done something that's hard in your life. Freaking lazy pieces of crap. So in those 3 frames that we got, we figured out that he floated up 1/8 of a standard minion, which is 11 inches. And figuring out how many times those 3 frames go into 24, the frame rate that this was animated at, we can figure out that the minion floated up per second and at a rate of 7 feet 7 inches. Why do I look like a sad puppy? What the crap? Never mind. And I timed 7.7 feet by 8.3, which is the seconds that it took the minion to go from like the state of flow to the top where he like exited the layer. Oh, also just another quick thing that I learned that I thought was actually pretty cool. I don't know why. I might just be weird. But for animation, they shoot at 24 frames per second for cinema. Before TV shows and stuff like that, they shoot at 30 FPS. If you think about it, you're getting better quality when you go and just watch an animation in your front room than when you watch like a cinematic animation in a theater and then at home. Oh, also, the quality of this video is going to be exactly like this because I have a lamp that I'm using for lighting. It doesn't stay very light where I am right now, and I like filming later in the day. So right now, guess what I'm using for lighting? I'm using a freaking lamp. Look at this. Look at that. Huh? You blind? Good. Maybe I... frick. So if the quality is a little finicky, this is the best I can do at the moment. All right, now back to Grus, the unit of a man. How tall is layers? Yeah, that's where we are. Grus layer is 60 feet and 8 inches tall. That's a big layer. All right, now time to figure out the diameter of his layer. This is where it got a little bit tricky because I had to go into Photoshop and I had to make sure the minions were the right size to scale of the surrounding building and then figure out the circumference of the freaking layer. That took a while. Stay in school. That makes his layer 4 stories tall. Here's a skyscraper that's as tall as that. Look at that. Wow. Woo! So I took the angle of where the shot was, where the minion is floating up, and then figured out the diameter, how many minions it would take in the diameter. And to go around the whole entire layer, 180 degrees worth adds up to 69 feet. And then to figure out the square footage of the inside of that circle, I times the circumference of the circle by pi 4, and that came out to 1,560 feet. Big circle, but that's counting 4 floors, 6,240 feet. That's how big his layer is, and that comes out to $1.248 million. Throw some concrete in there and that would make the worth of just his house alone $8,412,500. Now that was fun. Okay, cool. Now let's figure out Grus' net worth. But first, I just want to give a big shout out to our sponsor. I don't have a sponsor. So his backyard and front yard, $857. His crocodile couch, 6 times the size of an average crocodile. Average crocodile, 14 feet long. $29,000 right there. Custom gold leaf walls, $10,000. And he has like one of those friggin' shelf things that you like put shoes in for the kids. So yeah, that's cool. He has this monster thing that's like kind of like Joe Rogan's, $3,000. Is Grus a hype beast? I mean, he's not flexing all these things, so this is what all the hype beasts out there wanted to be. They wanted to be Grus, but they can't. Why? Well, first off, they can't travel at the speed of light as Grus can, because he's freaking lit. He's freaking lit. Oh my gosh, I said the word. He's freaking lit. Look at these socks. Socks, $20. Haircut, $12. Chemistry testing lab, $1 million about. And he has 4 levels of foldable inside drawbridge like platforms that run across the whole layer. Taking that into account, that's about $760,000. Fancy evil layer cannon elevator. That runs about, I'm guessing, 8 tubes. Funny story, I was going to figure out how much the tubing system was by looking up the bank tubing systems. Cost, you know, how you go like into the bank drive-through and you have the thing that like sucks up, that you put your money into and that like sucks up and it goes. I was going to figure out how much those things cost to set up and then put it up to scale to the tubing system. But guess what? There's not a lot of information online about those things. So I just looked up luxurious custom elevators and then figured it out from that price. And for 8 of those, it would cost about $1.232 million. And all of that totals up to roughly about $11.6 million. That's a lot of money. But wait, there's more. Thanks to our friend Slazo for figuring out how much the Apollo 9 was, so I didn't have to figure out how much it cost. Yeah, so I said that rocket name completely wrong. It was actually the Saturn V, and I'll continue to say the rocket's name wrong throughout this entire video. It was the Saturn 9, not whatever I said, like the Apollo 9. Wasn't that, it was Saturn 9. I apologize. Not really, but vamos. I don't know what that means. Grus rocket compared is 9 times bigger. That's a humongous rocket. That's like if you were standing too close to that thing, you would be one with the ground. If that thing takes off, you're right by it, you're gone. Bye-bye. Grus rocket, up to scale, against Apollo 5 is $10.88 billion. Like, okay, Gru. Fair play. And that takes Grus' net worth to $10.9 billion. That's a lot of money. That puts Felonious Gru right between Mike Brooks and Scott Farquhar. Like Farquaad from Shrek. I love how these people have like $10 billion to their name. And we have absolutely no clue who they are. We know who Gru is, so beat that, Mr. Farquhar. That sounds like an island in the Bermuda Triangle. That makes him the 168th richest person in the world. Gru's up there. And my theory on how he made all that money, it wasn't selling drugs. Why would he ever do that? No, why I think he got all that money and how he got all that money was dressing up as a clown and blowing up balloon animals. I mean, you saw for yourself how well he could blow up balloon animals and how he almost stabbed a kid. I was going to add more to this video and like just more detail, but it was going to take absolutely a ton of time. I was going to figure out something else about Gru, but I think I'll save that for another video just because it would be a funny video all in itself. Also, for as rich as Gru is, he obviously does not have a sprinkler system. Like, look at his grass. It's the same color as freaking pineapples. Pineapples are orange, you dumb fuck. You know how people say you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain? Well, Gru was the villain and then lived long enough to become the hero. How much do you want to bet that Gru's nose? Haha. How much you want to bet that Gru's nose just continuously grows and he has to like get a file and just like shave his nose every single day? I would bet like $0 on that, but I still believe it. Not gonna lie, I want to see a fight between Shrek and Gru. Which one wins? Game theory, do this. Analyze Shrek, figure out how strong he is. Analyze Gru, figure out how strong he is. I just want to see them, you know, brawl it out. That'd be a box office hit and a hit to the face. Why did I make that joke? And a hit in the boxing ring. No audience would be able to attend because they would be moving so fast and it would be so strong. There would be so much energy in that area that they're fighting, in that ring, that they just burn everybody. Everybody just like turns into energy. All right, that's going to be it for this video. At the end of this all, Gru, honestly, if he just wanted to make more money, which he absolutely doesn't because he's a freaking unit. If he wanted to make more money, he could always just go online and sell his minions to Facebook moms for $2,000 a pop. All right, that's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Thank you. See ya.